This presentation is about the safety measures at project sites, which is a part of the fourth module. The fourth module is presented in 3 parts. Presentations are done based on the syllabus of the Diploma program in Civil Engineering and my textbook written based on the syllabus. The contents are confined to the syllabus. The fourth module comprises of 3 topics. First one is safety in construction. Second topic is entrepreneurship, and the last topic is quality management. And these 3 topics are presented in 3 parts. And this first part is about safety at construction sites. The topics included in this first part are 1. Basic principles of safety. 2. Causes and effects of accidents. 3. Safety practices at project site. 4th point, safety measures in material handling. 5th point, occupational hazards. And the 6th point, role of supervisor or engineer in ensuring safety. And the last point is legislations regarding safety. In this slide, we discuss about basic principles of safety. First point is the safety should be planned very consciously. The safety does not happen casually. We have to take a conscious effort while planning the safety and matters related to that. Second point is, while doing the planning, the basic concept is safety first. The first priority, first importance is given for safety more than anything else. Third point is, in order to ensure safety, we have to educate the people in the project site and we have to give them proper training. Next point is, we should educate the people in the project site about the do's and don'ts related to safety. What are the measures to be done to ensure safety and what we should not do to avoid accidents. Next point is, we have to adopt safety as a part of our work culture. Every employee should feel that safety is a part of our work culture. Then we have to conduct mock drills and exercise in order to educate and make them aware about the safety practices. The mock drill as well as the exercises will help us to understand any lapses that may occur in the event of an accident. And next advice is to avoid shortcuts. We should not adopt shortcut methods for convenience or profit. Next is, don't compromise safety for marginal profits. Many a time the safety measures are ignored for marginal profit and that will result in a huge loss which we cannot make up. So don't compromise safety for any personal gains or any marginal profit. Next point is, follow material handling instructions. Each material has to be handled in the way it should be handled. Many a time there is a guideline or a checklist how to handle the materials. Then we have to give proper safety gadgets to the workers, like safety belt for the people who are working at a height, gloves for the persons who are handling with hot materials or abrasive materials, gumboots for the people who are working with concrete or materials like that, then goggles for the people who are doing the welding or such works, then masks for protecting our lungs when we are working with dusty materials like cement. Every organization should have a safety department and a safety manual, and there should be an engineer or a concerned person in charge of the safety department, and the safety measures should be implemented through the safety department. Next point is, we have to adopt preventive measures or preventive maintenance in order to avoid hazardous situations that leads to accidents. Preventive maintenance is always done to prevent accidents. Next point is, implement modern housekeeping philosophies like 5S. 5S we have already studied in the 4th semester in the industrial visit program, and hence I am not discussing the details of the 5S in this slide. The project site should be kept according to the 5S philosophy. Then last point is, formulate safety standards and legislations. It is a responsibility of the legislative body and the government to formulate the standards and legislations regarding the safety. The standardization body of the country will do necessary measures in formulating the safety standards, and the legislative assembly or the parliament should make required legislations with regard to safety. In this slide, let us discuss the major causes of accidents at a construction project site. In a construction project site, the major cause of accident is fall from height. Either it may be from the upper floors of the building, or it may be fall to ditches or excavations. And second major cause of accident is fall of materials or tools from height. The formwork or the working tools like hammer may fall down from certain height and may be hitting the people beneath. Collapse or the fall of the temporary structures is one of the major cause of accidents at project site. You might have heard about the collapse of scaffolding, formwork, etc. And next reason is loss of control of machineries and equipments. Mainly this happens when machineries and equipments are handled by or operated by persons who are not authorized to do that work. Then another reason is adopting unsafe practices or shortcuts for personal gains or ignoring safety. Sometimes unsafe practices are adopted for marginal benefits. Next reason is electrocution, that is the death due to shock from electricity. This is also a major cause, especially in large projects. Most of the equipments are nowadays working on electricity, and the short circuit or the shock from the equipment can lead to electrocution. This happens mainly because the safety devices for the electric supply is not maintained at project site. If there is an MCB or ELCB, we can minimize such causes. Next reason is collapse of structures. In certain cases, the structure which is already under construction may collapse, maybe due to faulty design, or it may be an old structure, and these structures may fail due to many reasons. Sometimes the failure may be due to shocks and vibrations. And next reason is explosion and fire. Many a time explosions do occur at project sites, and also fire happens. The explosions are happening when the explosives are handled uncared. Fire happens either from short circuit or from inflammable materials. The improper storage and handling of the materials also lead to some accidents, especially while handling with toxic or hazardous materials. If proper care is not taken, that can lead to accidents. Next reason is faulty design. If the design of the structure itself is faulty, it can lead to collapse of the structure. Then while doing the demolishing of the structures, many accidents do occur. The main reason is unscientific method of demolishing. Demolishing should be done in the reverse order how it was constructed. Nowadays, many advanced techniques are there for demolishing structures. You might be aware of the demolishing work done at Marad, Ernakulam. Such techniques can be adopted for the demolishing of large structures. Then another cause is chemical hazards. In major projects, we stock many chemicals which are hazardous. If they are not handled properly or if they are not stored properly, that can lead to chemical hazards. Yet another reason is natural calamities. We have some limitations in containing the natural calamities because we cannot predict many natural calamities like earthquake and so on. However, we can take precautions with regard to tsunami, cyclone and so on. So to a certain extent, if we take preventive measures or precautions, we can mitigate the effect of natural calamities. And the last point is ignorance about safety measures. Many a time, illiterate or uneducated workers are not aware of the safety measures to be adopted in a project site. This is mainly due to the lack of education given to the workers. So due to the ignorance of safety measures, many accidents do occur at project sites. In this slide, we discuss about the effects due to accidents. So in general, accidents can be classified as minor accidents, major accidents and fatal accidents. Minor accidents are those which need to be given only the first aid, whereas the major accidents are those accidents which needs hospitalization. The worker may be hospitalized as an inpatient. The fatal accidents are those in which at least one death has occurred. So these are the classifications of accidents based on the degree of its effect on human beings. Another effect of accident is loss of life and property. This is a major effect of any accident. We cannot compensate the loss of the life. The life which is already lost has permanently caused some hardships to the families of the person involved. The loss of the property also add to the loss of the project. Both loss of life and loss of property amounts to big loss to the project concerned. Next effect is cut, wounds, burns, bone fractures that are causing to the worker or the person involved in the accident. This can cause temporary dysfunction as well as permanent deformity to the person involved. This will affect badly to the effectiveness of the persons involved in their future life. Some of these effects of the accidents will last for a lifetime and they will be permanently or temporarily having some infirmity. Another effect is loss of limbs. Due to many accidents, parts like hand, leg, etc. become amputated and this lead to loss of limbs or organs. Then another factor is psychological fear among workers when a major accident has occurred in a project site. After the major accident, all the employees will be having a psychological fear which will affect their output and the productivity. Then many accidents cause prolonging of the project duration. When a major accident has occurred, the work will be at standstill for many days or months. If there is legal complications, the work could be restarted only settling that matters. All accidents lead to legal liabilities. Compensation has to be paid to the organization. Again, compensation need to be paid to the workers, and many a time the penalties imposed are huge, as well as the compensation to be paid to the workers or the government are also very high. And next effect of accident is loss of goodwill of the contractor or the organization which is involved in such an accident. We will be well aware of the accident which has occurred in Bhopal. The gas tragedy at Bhopal has greatly affected the goodwill of the Union Carbide Company, which is a multinational company, and they have to wind up their activities in India, and their global goodwill has come drastically down. In this slide, we discuss about some good safety practices that can be adopted in any construction project. The first point is formulate a safety standard. All organizations could develop a safety guideline to the organization with regard to the do's and don'ts and the measures to be taken in the event of an accident and so on. And next point is educate about the safety practices. All the people in the organization should be educated with regard to the safety practices through video classes, demonstrations, mock drills and so on. Next is follow safety norms. Ensure that not only the norms are formulated, but these norms are effectively practiced and implemented in the organization. Next point is take preventive measures to avoid accidents. It is always better to prevent accidents than taking curative measures. So we should ensure that the project site is having zero accidents reported. Next point is use of safety gadgets. All hazardous situations should be avoided by happening accidents, providing safety gadgets to the employees. The employees should also be educated how to use these safety gadgets and the benefit of using such gadgets. Another philosophy is following appropriate material handling instructions. All materials, especially hazardous materials and abrasive materials, should be properly handled without causing an injury or any hazard. We have already discussed about the material handling strategies in the store management given in the module 3. The vehicles or equipments should be operated by authorized, trained and licensed persons. The equipment or the vehicle need to be handled very cautiously, because one of the reasons for the accidents at site is the vehicle or the equipment going out of control. Proper training should be given when a new equipment or a vehicle is inducted to the organization. Before use of the temporary structures, we should check the safety of the temporary structure by adopting a load test as well as physical inspection. Most of the accidents occurring at project site are due to the failure of either scaffolding or shoring or formwork. So proper inspection should be adopted before using these temporary structures, especially the scaffolding and the formwork. Next point is ensure safety standards. The government as well as other statutory bodies have formulated safety standards for avoiding accidents at project sites. So we have to ensure that all that safety standards are complied with. For example, when we are working at height, the worker is supposed to wear safety belt. Likewise, when we are working on hard materials, we should use appropriate gloves. Next point is, in order to check the preparedness of the safety measures, we should conduct regular exercises and mock drills. This will help to understand any lapses that may occur during a real situation. Moreover, the exercises as well as mock drills will help to educate the people how they have to perform in the event of an accident. Next is penalizing the defaulters. There may be some persons who are very much prone to accidents. They often ignore the safety measures and their action lead to the danger of the person other than those who are the defaulters. So any person who are purposefully ignoring the safety practices should be penalized properly, and if they are not able to correct their failures, they should be left out of the organization or the project site. In this slide, we discuss about different types of occupational hazards. Occupational hazards are hazards or high risk associated with a particular occupation or profession. We can define occupational hazard as the risk accepted as the consequence of a particular occupation. In other words, occupational hazards are that inherent with certain categories of occupation. We can mention some of the occupational hazards. As far as a driver is concerned, the major hazard connected with his profession is road accident. In the case of persons who are working with fine silica materials like cement or silica fume, or even handling with sand, may be having the risk of silicosis. Silicosis is a disease which is affecting the lungs when the person is exposed to fine silica without wearing proper mask. Another occupational hazard is lead poisoning. If it causes lead poisoning in blood, that can lead to lifelong problems. Then another occupational hazard is radiation. If we are dealing with any radioactive material, we are susceptible for radiation. Then another occupational hazard is the fall with regard to the people working at height. Then certain other occupational hazards are asbestosis with regard to the persons working with asbestos, caisson disease for the persons who are working underwater, especially the deep water divers are susceptible for caisson disease. And many of the occupation involving exposure to dust can lead to asthma and other coronary diseases. Chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases are causing due to certain kind of occupation or working environment. Then spread of the epidemic in the case of health workers, especially in the era of COVID pandemic. The health workers are exposed to the risk of infecting with epidemic. Then another occupational hazard is burns to the workers who are working with hot materials or those who are working in hot surroundings. The leaking of toxic gases like ammonia or chlorine affect the persons working in such factories. So, in order to avoid occupational hazards, necessary precautions should be taken with regard to the condition, as well as the persons who are working in such environment should be given proper training and instructions regarding what should be done in the event of such hazards. In this slide, we discuss about the role of the supervisor or the site engineer in ensuring safety at a project site. The supervisor or the engineer are the responsible persons who has to avoid accidents at a project site. We cannot fully entrust such responsibilities with the safety department. The safety department is only an agency to give support to the supervisors, engineers and the workers, and it is a responsibility of the supervisor, engineer and the worker to avoid accidents or hazardous situations at project site. The first point is the person in the responsibility of the supervision is also responsible for ensuring safety at the project site. Second point is the concerned person who is in charge of the activity is also responsible for educating, training and enforcing safety. And also the supervisor or the site engineer should report regular offenders who are violating safety standards, and necessary punishment should be given to such regular violators. The site in charge should check the preparedness with regard to ensuring safety by conducting mock drills. In many organizations, mock drills with regard to fire safety is regularly done. Their responsibility does not end with providing the safety gadgets. Nowadays, in most of the project sites, it is mandatory that everyone should wear helmets. Such precautions should be ensured by the site engineer or the supervisor. And the person who is in charge of the project site is also responsible for carrying out preventive maintenance to avoid failures. Especially preventive maintenance should be done to the equipments, machineries and the vehicles in order to avoid accidents. And they are also responsible for ensuring safe physical environment at site. Safe physical environment includes proper lighting, proper ventilation and so on. The safety of the temporary structures should be checked and inspected by the supervisor or the engineer before they are put into use. Many a time the accidents are gone without reporting. So it is not fair. Any untoward incident which is happening at a project site should be reported and should be properly documented for taking remedial measures for not happening such events in the future. All accidents or hazardous situations should be recorded, analyzed and reported to prevent such accidents in future. And from this analysis, we should make further safety measures to avoid such accidents in the future. In this slide, the legislations with regard to the safety is introduced. The basic legislation with regard to safety is the Factory Act of 1948, which was amended in many years, and in 2010 the last amendment was incorporated. Another safety law in India is Indian Mining Act 1923, and the act with regard to providing compensation to the worker is the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. Then another act is Employees State Insurance Act of 1948, and one of the international standard is ISO 45001, which deals with occupational health and safety. Even though many legislations are there, some of these are very old and need to be updated or amended according to the present situation. So it is the responsibility of the concerned ministry and the legislative body to make necessary amendments in such acts in order to suit the present situation. All these presentations are done based on my textbook, and for further informations and details, you may please refer my textbook. So with this, the first part of the fourth module is over. Thank you very much.